Hi Virgo, welcome to your monthly reading. Sorry, I've been doing those as well today. Welcome to your Mercury retrograde in Aries special with me, Raphael Ray from Radiant Reality. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I'm doing this because I feel like this Mercury retrograde is going to be quite instrumental and important for us going forward. And you know, I am an amateur astrologer, but I feel like this one's going to be important for us. I really do, because I feel like it's going to be the first thing that really creates dynamic change for all of us. Why do I say that? One, because it's a quick transit, so it will be over faster than anything else, you know, big that's taking place. A lot of the other stuff, Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, is going to take its time to complete. So it's not, you know, you're not really going to notice any sort of quick sort of implemented change. But with this transit, I feel like, you know, over the next 6 weeks we're all gonna have, you know, we're all gonna have a look back and think, well shit, damn. So Virgo, this happens, so first let's talk about this. Mercury, the planet of communication, the planet of text messages, emails, conversations, contracts, all of that stuff. It's communication, it's interaction, it's the intelligence, it's co-workers, it's siblings, it is colleagues at work, it's, you know, all of the people that we may well come into contact with and the communication that we have with them on a day-to-day basis. Well, this goes retrograde. When a planet goes retrograde, it's about introspection, it's about re-evaluation, it's about reassessment, it's about redoing things. And, you know, I've given this example on a few of the other videos. Your thoughts are foundations. Your mind and your intellect are laying foundations every single day for things that you want to achieve or create in your life. And, you know, the Mercury retrograde gives you a chance to go back over the foundations that you've laid in your mind to see if they're solid enough to hold what it is that you want to build, to hold what it is that you want to create in the manifest world. Now, the sign of Aries is all to do with your willpower. It's all to do with how you assert yourself. It's the fresh spring energy. It's unstoppable. It's, you know, unrelenting. It doesn't back down. It just goes and it continues to go. And that's a really, really powerful energy. But Aries as a sign, as you guys know, can be quite feisty. Mercury retrograde in and of itself can tend to create problems with either technology or communication. It's what I say is not necessarily heard the way that I meant it. What you hear me say and what I mean may not necessarily be what I've actually said or how I've said it. I've already had this experience today, which is quite interesting. And yeah, I will just say that I refuse to allow myself to be seen or treated in a certain way, and I would never want to do that to anybody else. And, you know, that's not who I am. It's not what I'm about. And, you know, yeah, anyway, so the parting of ways, I'm hoping, was as amicable as it's going to be. So this for you guys happens in your 8th house. Now that's a really interesting, so this could see you working, these are my trusty notes, this could see you working hard to really think about what your deepest desires, and, you know, that's the other thing about Aries as well. You know, it has that link with Scorpio, you know, where they, you know, used to have the same ruler. But it is about your desires. It's about, you know, what you are excited by. It's what you're moved to what you're emotive about. This will see you looking deeply at what your motivations are and possibly see you getting into making your partner's finance a project. So there's a couple of things there actually that I want to talk about. So the 8th house is your deepest desires. It is taxes, it's death, it's love, you know, it's sex, death, taboos, all of the things that we don't talk about, all of the things that are considered taboo to talk about. You know, when a Mercury retrograde happens in this house, it's asking you to look at your relationship to those things. It's also asking you to look at your relationship to what your desires actually are, and Do you feel comfortable enough in your environment, and not necessarily just with your partner, but with the world at large, to share what those things are, to say, actually, this is what I want to achieve. This is going to be a chance for you to really check in with what your motivations are, to check in with, you know, are my desires in line with creating what I actually want, or are my desires here and, you know, my execution over there, you know? And by bringing these two things together, it's going to give you the chance to really ask yourself the fundamental questions. Am I heading in the right direction? And does my path and my drive match my desire? And vice versa. Do they mesh? Are they going to be mutually receptive? Are they going to be co-creative? You know, your 8th house, so what was I talking about there as well with your partner's finances? So you might not even have a partner, so it's other people's money. This is clients, it is you know, if you work for a business, if you're you know, in terms of your company as well, can you spot ways to you know, to protect the company's finances? This is going to be really giving you an understanding of how you can protect, look after, and more importantly, grow somebody else's wealth, somebody else's money, somebody else's you know, material and physical interests. It's also going to see you getting in touch with your innate sexuality. It's also going to ask you, you know, this is the Mercury retrograde, so you're thinking at a really deep introspective level about saying to yourself, right, okay, am I getting the sensuality and sexuality that I need? Am I exuding those things? You know, am I being true to myself in those arenas of life? Am I having the experience that I want to have in that? Am I fulfilled in that area? This can also be about taxes as well. So, you know, for those of you, April tax season is literally just around the corner. It's about getting your taxes in order. It's about getting your finances, you know, as seen through the institution. So what can you do to make yourself more attractive to, so if you want to buy a house and all the rest of it, the next 6 weeks is definitely not the time to do it. If you can absolutely hold off. If you can't, read that stuff like a mofo. Read it, reread it, give it to someone else and get them to read it twice, give it to someone else and get them to reread it twice, so that you are absolutely covered on all bases and you have all understandings that you have. If you absolutely have to sign a contract under a Mercury retrograde, please check it a billion times and make sure that you get a second opinion. Absolutely, of somebody that you really trust and of somebody that you don't even know from Adam. If they come up with the same conclusions, they can't both be wrong. Just saying. Anyway, if you want to buy a house, if you want to get a loan, if you want any of these things that are going to involve your interaction with a financial institution, other people's money, what can you do as an individual to make yourself more attractive and seem more attractive to that other to that institution? That's what, you know, you're being asked with this transit, and it's a really deep one as well, because the 8th house is also psychology. It's also about the really deep recesses of our thought and, you know, our hidden thoughts. And if you find yourself dreaming about things, daydreaming about things, you know, thinking about things that you haven't shared with anybody, are you ready to share them now? And if so, how much more liberated could and would you be if you did? Really big questions to ask yourself. I would like to bless this deck with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I hope that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. What does the tarot have to tell you? Look at this. So interesting, because you get your own card. So this is the first time that this has happened in all the readings that I've done today. You've come up as yourself, so this gives you a real position of strength. It gives you a real position of power. The Hermit card is about a journey or a quest that we take. And you know, for you guys, you're going into the 8th house, your mind, you're taking this internal journey into the deepest recesses of who you are, into your deepest desires, into your maybe even darkest desires, you know, and really starting to say to yourself, actually, there isn't anything scary down there. There isn't anything hidden from me. I knew all of this stuff. I just wasn't comfortable enough to acknowledge it in my consciousness. And you know, in terms of the finances stuff, this is asking you to play the field a bit. If you want to buy a house, look for several different lenders that could offer you a mortgage. If you want a loan, look for several different lending streams that you could ask for money. If you you know, because this is about other people's money. If you know, in terms of your partner's finances, they might ask you to go through their stuff so that you can help them with their tax return. This might even be you going to an accountant to get them to help you with your tax return. Are you paying too much tax? Are you being taxed enough? You know, are you not paying enough? You know, this is all of this stuff being highlighted, and you're being asked to look at it over the next sort of, I would say 3 to 6 weeks, because don't forget you've got the stationary period when it, you know, it needs to come back out of the degrees that it's gone into when it goes direct again. I wish you an abundance of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance itself. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon for the monthly readings. Take care.